The Earth had a bit of an unlucky accident, by which I mean it got absolutely obliterated by an asteroid, wiping out, well, every living thing in the entire galaxy. Naturally, humans did what they do best. Instead of fixing the mess themselves, they built robots to clean up their to create a brand new livable paradise on Mars. Predictably, they screwed that up too, no surprise there. And now, only one robot survived the biggest extinction event in history, and that robot is tasked with terraforming the entire planet so life can begin again, hopefully learning from past mistakes and doing their own this time. Let's start a new game. Oh, by the way, I'm the developer of this game and I'm playing the actual release version now. So yeah, no god mode or cheats for me this time. This should be fun. Looks like we're somewhere and someone forgot to turn on the lights of this planet. Oh, this says I need to recharge my battery. That explains it. Luckily, I've got a charged one just lying around here. Let there be light, baby. Now it wants me to craft a mining module. Looks like this crafting station is more than happy to help. Next objective is upgrading my backpack. So I mine 4 iron ores with my shiny new mining module, because my backpack can only hold 4 items. But it's not all bad news. With the upgraded backpack, I now have a bigger battery and 6 glorious item slots instead of 4. Happy days, we are basically unstoppable now. This upgrade also unlocked a couple more modules, light and sprint. But my mission now says I need to regain control of the station by crafting an encryption key. Time to play Space Locksmith. I grabbed some regolith from the ground and found copper not far from my ship. Collecting these also unlocked a few more recipes. I crafted the key and plugged it into this terminal and this thing dropped. Like a good little robot, I deployed it and woo! Now I can finally print a much needed storage. But we are not done yet. Looks like I need to access the database using this panel here. I live to serve apparently. Super helpful info for anyone, well, who isn't me. Looks like we lost a few blueprints during our very professional and definitely safe flight here with this ship. So it's time to go find them and unlock some technology. One vault is conveniently close to our crash site, or let's say our landing site. I haven't decided on that yet. And what do you know, it actually has a blueprint in it, just like the game promised. I found a couple more vaults along the way until I stumbled upon this massive crater filled with yellow and grey resources. Before gathering my courage and diving in, I came across more blueprint vaults and an ominous looking rock formation. Looks like aliens are real after all, but this game has no aliens, unless I forgot I added them, which is exactly what an alien would say. Anyways, turns out the yellow stuff is sulfur and the grey one is silver. Both mineable, but only the smaller ones for now. The big ones apparently need something called a mining laser, which I don't seem to have yet. Naturally, I tried to mine one and it almost drained my entire battery. With low power effects flashing all over my screen and full panic mode engaged, I got completely lost trying to get back to my ship. By the time I found it, it was too late. RIP me. Thankfully, the game took pity and printed me a brand new robot. Back in action, I quickly recovered my dropped items and slotted in the blueprint discs my past self had collected. That unlocked a battery, a power extender and half of the fuel generator blueprint. Charged up and ready, I decided to temporarily abandon my vault hunting quest and go mine some silica to upgrade my backpack again. Another near-death experience later, mission accomplished. More storage, more power, and new modules unlocked, including the info module, which my mission is very passive-aggressively suggesting I build. While out gathering materials, I found another blueprint disk. Before I knew it, my shiny new 8-slot backpack was completely full. I installed the new disk and it unlocked a drill. After a brief moment of silence for my fallen predecessor, I crafted the info module V1, which unlocked a compass. Then info module V2, which lets me track things. Super helpful for someone who just died getting lost. I also crafted the light module, which, you guessed it, gives light. With this new tracking ability, I finally went to loot the last missing blueprint vault. Along the way, I spotted a radio tower looking structure in the distance. It looked far, so I very responsibly ignored it. On the way back, I mined a bit more and almost died again, because I'm nothing if not consistent. And finally, I unlocked the power generator blueprint and a new mission, generate power. Time to make some electricity. I crafted the long-awaited mining V2 module, which speeds up mining and uses less power since I spend less time laser zapping rocks. I also crafted a regolith rod and a copper wire to print the power generator. But of course, it didn't work when I connected it. Turns out, it needs regolith fuel rods to actually run. So new goal, gather regolith and battery materials. After hauling everything back, I printed a battery, but then I realized I ran out of power sockets. Off I went again to mine some copper and craft the power extender. Finally, after connecting everything together and giving the generator its first fuel, we have power, baby. After we slightly increased our chances of not dying horribly on this orange planet, it looks like it's finally time to start terraforming. I crafted a deconstruct module using whatever materials I had lying around, and voila, I can now unbuild things. My first target with this superpower is obviously my former body. Let's just say I got rid of my emotional baggage, or should I say, version 1.0, with a tendency to die. I deconstructed this thing. After a small detour, time to focus on printing the drill. It requires something called a pressure core, which I can craft using a sulfur and a silica ore. So off I went, back to the Crater of Doom. Yes, that's what I named this crater, to mine more. Then, for reasons even I don't understand, I tried cheating the game I made. Then, I mined even more silica. Somewhere in all the chaos, I experienced my first sunset on the planet. Beautiful, bleak, and definitely still orange. Anyway, after finally crafting the pressure core and printing our very first drill, the terraforming journey officially began. An mission popped up telling me to build a terraform analyzer. I was just one regolith chunk short, which I luckily found nearby. Then I built the analyzer, was about to connect it to the grid, but it looks like I ran out of power sockets. Again. So I built another power extender and connected to it. This is definitely looking more and more like the Martian movie, without the potatoes. It looks like we're already halfway through the first stage. While waiting, I decided to make myself useful and craft some missing modules. I gathered nearby materials and built the overlay module V1, which lets me see all the tangled spaghetti in RGB. And by spaghetti, I mean my proud power grid. I also crafted info module V3, which unlocks some data about the planet. Turns out, it's currently 2 AM here. Just like us humans, robots also never sleep. At this point, I got a notification saying pressure stage 1 achieved. Woo! I collected and inserted the blueprint disk for a wagon and a battery module. Sounds helpful. I also crafted overlay V2, which enabled the planet overlay. Oh boy, turns out I have a long way to go before this planet becomes even remotely habitable. I was missing mostly copper, so I went off to find one of those weird rock formations. I stared at the giant one for a bit, considered my life choices, then settled for the small ones. Then I realized I didn't have enough storage for all the junk I was collecting, so I built 2 more storages. After crafting a power cell, we finally had a pet wagon. It doesn't cost any power and follows you around, if you connect to the yellow socket and not the other way around. I built a battery module for it, slapped it on top, connected it to a socket so it could charge. Then I extended the power circuit a bit more. Things are starting to get crowded around here and sockets are becoming a hot commodity. Charging the Wagon battery was taking forever, so I disconnected it and plugged it straight into the generator, direct juice from the source itself. I built another drill as the mission told me to do, and just in time we hit pressure stage 2. This unlocked the storage module and the mining laser, which will finally let me crack open the bigger rocks. Then I realized I needed more wagons, so I went off to gather resources. I forgot to bring my pet wagon and had to go back for it, only to discover whoever coded these didn't have an ability to jump over walls. With double the power, I mined 7 sulfur ores to craft more power cells and build more wagons. Turns out, I was generating just enough power to keep myself, my pet, and 2 drills running barely. I disconnected one of the drills and went off to collect more copper to build a second generator. As the drills worked, the fog started to lift and the planet actually became more visible. After building the second generator and extending the circuit again, we had enough power, so I reconnected the second drill. While hunting for more copper, I saw the radio tower again. Now without all the fog in the way, I also spotted shiny green rocks and a giant rock blocking the entrance to the tower. Meanwhile, we reached pressure stage 3 and the fog on the entire planet is now completely gone. Yay us! This unlocked a battery generator, a better drill and a scanner module. I refueled the generator, printed another wagon and added a storage module to it, which will add 4 more slots for our holes. I connected it to the original wagon and officially created a wagon train. Then I printed another wagon, added the mining laser on top and 3 wagon train assembled. Time to take it for a spin. With the laser, I could finally mine silver and the bigger sulfur nodes. From struggling to mine 1 sulfur to casually achieving through everything. Look how far we have come. I crafted my first silver wire and used it to build 2 more pressure cores, which meant I could now deploy a bigger drill. But of course, I didn't have enough power to run it constantly. So back to the Crater of Doom, I went to mine more resources for a bigger, more efficient generator. Along the way, I found aluminum ore and unlocked the aluminum alloy recipe. I also noticed the planet is starting to get frosty. Looks like increased pressure is forcing water to stay inside the crust instead of evaporating. I saw I could finally craft mining module V3, which is the final upgrade. I resisted the urge barely and went for 2 silver wires instead. We then hit pressure stage 4, unlocking the Rover, Wagon T2 and the refinery. As tempting as those new toys were, our base was still one blackout away from a meltdown, so I printed a bigger fuel generator. Now that the circuit was finally stable again, I reconnected the bigger drill. The planet was getting real frosty now. I mined more silver, barely made it back alive, and finally crafted mining module V3, which makes mining faster and cheaper on power. While doing some storage cleanup, I realized I was almost out of regolith fuel rods and the base was about to power down completely. So I went out, gathered more regolith and refueled all generators. Then finally, I was able to create our first aluminum alloy and print our first rover. I connected our entire wagon train to it and now we can move faster and carry more than ever. Progress, baby! Since the rover has a module slot, I installed another battery module on top and took our shiny new expedition vehicle for a spin to gather a bunch of copper. Back at base, I did some much needed maintenance, refueled the generators and dumped all the loot into storage. But yeah, power-wise things were still held together with hope and copper wires, very thin ones apparently. So I disconnected the drills, deconstructed the 2 old inefficient fuel generators and built a second bigger one instead. I wanted to build the bigger wagon, which comes with 2 module slots, but it requires an aluminum ingot, apparently something you make in a refinery. So I printed our first refinery, tossed in 2 aluminum ores and got my shiny new ingot. With that, I finally printed a 2 module slot wagon. Though I can't actually use the extra slot yet since I have no modules ready, so off I went on another resource run. I built the scanner module, which seems to let me scan for resources. Then I restocked the fuel generators once more, because we both know I will forget later and everything will just stop. Hopefully, these will last a bit longer now. I reconnected the drills and after a while, boom! Pressure stage 5 achieved. The planet is now entirely frozen. That triggered a new mission. Explore the radio tower. Oh yeah, I completely forgot that thing. I built a second storage module on top of our 2-slot wagon and hooked it into the train. I also unlocked a bunch of new stuff. A bigger storage module and the temperature station launch panel, which, surprise surprise, is now our new mission objective. I refined some iron and managed to build a larger storage unit next to our existing storage setup. Then I checked what we need for the launch panel and yep, more aluminum. So I used the resource scanner, found a deposit, mined some. And finally, it was time to explore that mysterious radio tower that's been taunting us forever. Turns out the shiny green things are uranium deposits, and I was able to mine the smaller ones, unlocking the uranium road recipe. Then I moved on the giant rock blocking the entrance. Irons went flying, but in the end, the path was clear. After a quick charge from the rover, I had it inside. There was a computer inside with a data disk holding the temperature station coordinates. I returned to the ship, crafted a uranium rod using 6 uranium and went off to collect the resources needed to build the station launch panel. Meanwhile, we hit pressure stage 6, the final stage of the demo version. I scanned some silver deposits and even found another crater, a little smaller but deeper than our infamous Crater of Doom. After building the required silver wires, I inserted the final pressure unlocked blueprint disk and oh boy, we have a solar panel blueprint. I printed the station launch panel in the base, installed the coordinates, and it opened up a port to insert the uranium rod. With launch now being our final objective, I smacked that launch button, the doors locked, the countdown began. And voila, we are off to space. By the way, the game is called Blossom, the Seed of Life. If you're excited about it or want to support development, the best way is to wishlist it on Steam. It really helps and you will get notified about future releases and demos. Looks like we docked to the temperature station, and boy, it is dark in here. I turned on my flashlight, used a battery to charge myself up. I saw a couple of my dead buddies, or maybe my older selves, who knows at this point. I continued exploring. The station isn't very big, found a few more batteries to top off my power, and a switch that turned the lights on for all the station. I also ran into some empty supply crates and eventually made my way to a place that looks like a bedroom. A bit further ahead, I found a terraform analyzer and a space scanner. Looks like some nasty stuff went down here. Eventually, I entered a room that has a door to the station's vault. Station control panel says it needs a master key. While searching, I found 2 crates, one with a heater blueprint and the other with 2 heater cores. Looks like temperature terraformation is on the menu. Luckily, I found the station override panel not too far away and downloaded the key to open the vault. I did just that and the station immediately went bonkers. The vault door unlocked and inside was a single crate with a single seed. I looted it and we have reached the official ending of the demo. But me being the developer and all, I know better. I made my way back through the station to the ship. Press launch again, countdown started, and we are back home. I quickly connected everything back to our ship and installed the heater blueprint, which unlocked the heater core recipe. I printed the heater since we already had 2 heater cores looted from the station, then printed 2 more power extenders for good measure. After hooking it all up, I took in the view, and it looked like our heating efforts were already started. Not long after and bam, we hit temperature stage 1. Who knew planetary climate control was this easy? I unlocked the wind turbine blueprint, did a bit of base management and printed our first turbine. Wind turbines run constantly and their output increases the more pressure you add to the planet. Shortly after we reached temperature stage 2. This unlocked a larger power extender and a larger battery. I refined some copper ore and printed the larger battery, a much bigger capacity than the last one. Gathering materials is much easier now thanks to our wagon train packed with all the modules. Then I built a solar panel and honestly, I think our power problems are finally solved. Until, of course, some power-hungry monster of a machine shows up later. I also printed a couple of larger power extenders. These come with 6 sockets instead of 4, which is great because it's getting real crowded out here. After some more base maintenance, we hit temperature stage 4. And according to the game, all the craters are now filled with ice. Naturally, I don't trust anything a game tells me, even if it's my own game. So I hopped into my rover and drove out to see for myself. And yep, confirmed. Our Crater of Doom is now officially an ice skating park. I finally had the courage to ride pretty far this time, and looks like I found gold and titanium, exactly what we need for the newly unlocked blueprints. Unfortunately, I can't mine them since they require the larger version of the mining module. But it looks like, with the final stage of temperature terraforming in the demo, we unlocked a larger wind generator and a larger refinery as well. And ladies and gentlemen, that marks the unofficial end of the demo content. Since I can't progress any further, I'm gonna leave it here. Hope you enjoyed the game. If you did, make sure to wishlist it on Steam. The link is in the description. I'm also documenting the development journey on this YouTube channel, so if you want to follow along, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.